All right, it's about that time again. We are getting things set up and planned to start hitting the field as a group together. Beginning of September, we're going to hit the happy place. Hank Rosser, he just made a major investment in thermals. One of the thermals he's getting is a step up from mine. I've got the XQ50 from Pulsar, the Helion. He's getting the XP50. I may have that mixed up, whatever, can't remember. Anyway, it's a step above mine. We're going to have enough thermals to watch in 360 degrees and have handheld units on us to be able to look around. So that's going to be awesome. But to set up for us going out there, I want to talk about some of the evidence that we found out there. Kind of just a reminder of exactly how impressive this place has been. Now, it's very easy to get caught up, obviously, to get caught up in the sightings we had. We had two of them. Three of us had two sightings on one day. And it was I believe, the third trip that we were out there. So we've been talking about that for over a year now, and going over that, figuring things out, blah, blah, blah. But when I'm not out in the field, a lot of times I go through old video, and it's because I like to try to put the pieces together. There may be things that I miss. There may be mistakes that I make, or that somebody else makes, or something that we, didn't think about before. And this is one of those cases, kind of ties everything together. But I want to show you guys, go back over a couple pieces of evidence, because even without the sightings, this place is absolutely amazing. And the stuff we found out there is some of the best evidence I've ever found in one general area. And I think there's a reason for that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with our very first trip out there, and the very first a couple pieces of evidence. We got there, Happy's looking around, Scott finds tracks, I find tracks, we follow the tracks, and then we come to these massive beds. I'll show you the video of them, but they're about 8 feet from one side to the other. They're in a perfect circle, and it looks like something with hands sat down in the middle of the pine straw and just drug it all to the middle. We found two. We found one that looked like it had been made recently, and then we found an older one. By far, one of the most impressive pieces of evidence that I've ever seen in my life. Now, where it was located, when we first get there, this whiteboard, this is the pipeline, right? That's where we camp, hang out, and all that, right in the middle of that pipeline. On our first trip out there, there's a deer stand here, a feeder here. Happy's walking around here, and Scott finds tracks here. I find tracks here. We walk through the woods, and we come to the first pine bed, and it is awesome. Very first day, and one of the most impressive pieces of evidence I've ever seen. I'll show you that first.
Hold of it and pulled it in, and
just got a hold of everything.
Yeah, sure did. That's very interesting.
I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything
I mean,
like
because look around and
I've
there's.
seen a bit.
I'm gonna walk that way.
I'm about to get
Hey, you want me to hold your camera?
Here, Johnny, would hold.
here.
Let's run it.
I mean, it's just.
So I'm right at, I'm a little under 5'11". I'm like 5'10" and a half.
And you're like right in where the depression is, in the middle of all them
In the
pines.
middle of it. Is it comfortable?
That's nuts. Hell yeah. Like I would, if I had a mat.
It looks comfy.
I mean, look. I mean, your body depression made. I mean, it
looks the same.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
Johnny.
Yeah.
See, I found one back there.
We keep finding these straight breaks that are. Let me get some of this. They probably pissed all over that. That's probably where they make babies at, and I just rolled in it.
Good soup.
All right, so this is the second bed. It's older, but it's just like the other bed. The pine straw is moved to the middle, and then there is and that almost looks like a perfect print in the middle of it. I don't know, it's too old, but it's got the shape to it. But looks like they abandoned this one. Now, like I said, I think it was our third trip. Me and Scott get there first. We have not spent a lot of time over in this area. This is a creek right here that runs around the perimeter of the property. So when me and Scott get there, we head in the wood line here and make our way to this creek. And at this creek is where we find what looks like a person has squatted down right at the sandbar, stuck their hands in the mud, and dragged them.
Well, could be. Right hand, left hand. The shadows mess up the pictures. I had to lean out away from the sun.
Now, before after me and Scott go in here and we find the prints and we're walking back out, we find what looks like a structure, an asterisk. And you can ask anybody, I'm not super big into structures unless they're obvious. This looked like it was obviously made. And it wasn't just that it was obviously made. Right next to it was a 10-point deer skull. So you've got this asterisk, this perfect asterisk that looks like it's been built. And then you've got this 10-point deer skull. Not maybe, I don't know, that may be 50 yards away from each other where these handprints were. Bones. Look at this. Look at this. And look where the bones are, Scott.
Yep. There's a head over there.
Yep. You know, trees do fall in the woods, but you find something like this, and then you find this bad boy. Man, that's actually a pretty nice one. Right here next to that.
Over here is like in wood. See this right here? Is that and that's broke.
So, as the story goes, Scott's back up here at the vehicles. Me and Captain Joe are here. I see it first. 5 minutes later, Joe sees it somewhere around right here. We follow behind it, going in the direction. Every time we stop and talk to each other, it makes noises. Well, when I go to cross this creek right here, you'll see in the video, I find 4 fingerprints in the mud. Now, at first, I think they're footprints or toes or something. But then I get down next to them and I get a good look at them. And then you don't see my fingers in the mud on camera. But what you see me do is I stick my fingers down in the mud and compare the two. And they look almost identical. To This set of handprints was awesome. I didn't make the connection that maybe it was this dude later on. Still might not be. This was awesome. The asterisks. The beds are awesome. But to find these fingerprints right here in the mud, 4 minutes after having our sighting, it just solidified everything. There was no doubt left in my mind. The only doubt that could be left was, did me and Joe see an apparition? We knew it wasn't. We knew it was a solid living creature. And then you find its fingerprints in the mud, sealed the deal. And then to hear Scott say that it came out on all fours, verified that that particular one was down on all fours, and that was his fingerprints. Which, the day in itself had everything we ever could have asked for, visually, sighting wise. But the whole day was just, you throw in the evidence and then everything we learned, it's amazing. And I can't wait to get back out there and get back at it. Hopefully we find some more cool stuff and they're still there.
Joe, look at this. Look how small it is. One there, one there, there. That's fresh as hell.
Yeah, that's the direction he was moving.
I'd be looking for other ones.
Point out them toes.
That's gotta be it, right?
Yeah, point out them toes again.
Toes. One,
Yeah,
two,
yeah,
3, 4. Maybe that, I don't know. But those are, look out. Watch this. Watch my finger.